I can't listen to the radio, dude.
Yeah, man.
But I'm also like an old 40-year-old white dude, so but I can't listen to the radio because that shit seems fake. It seems like it ain't real. In fact, I know like the stories behind so many of it. And I know it's not real, but don't listen to me. But I mean, it's written by a bunch of people that like have artificial intelligence running algorithms on the top 40 hits, and then they spit out like words that you got to use and how many beats per minute. And I mean, like, I don't like that because I'd rather hear a dude that or a girl, or I'd rather hear a person that can't hold a tune, that maybe barely can play their instrument, but is intensely passionate about what they're doing, and is creating art that is meaningful from them, and it comes from a place of authenticity in their own heart. Way before I'd rather hear somebody get up and sing some bullshit that they're making up trying to make $1 or two, you know?
Yeah, there's not a lot of authenticity in formula.
No, no. You're actually, that's it. That's the words for it, formula. I don't like that shit. Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy playing with a group more or less than performing solo? And does your answer line up with what your audience tends to prefer?
Oh, man. Well, I love playing with a band. In the performance, like from the time that you sing the first song to the time that you sing the last song. But I prefer to be solo from the time you sing your last song to the time you sing your first song. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like in that space while you're on the stage, it's cool to be with a band. But in that space between the last song and getting where you're going to go the next day and paying for everybody's hotels and everybody's food and splitting all the money, and, that ain't too fun. But I've had some moments on the stage creating music with other humans that was transcendent. Some of the most amazing some of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life were on the stage playing with a band. I've also had really transcendent experience playing all by myself too, but I think they come more whenever you're playing with a band and you're able to communicate without using words and things like that. It's really amazing. Yeah, music is amazing, dude. It really is magic, you know.
Truly.
I mean, I know it's like vibrations and they probably done got it all mathed out, but dude, it's more than math, dude. It's more than math. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you could scientifically engineer like a perfect song that would hit people emotionally and intellectually and physically and whatever, and make it, and it would end up being so crushingly mediocre,
Yeah.
because it doesn't
Well, check
have
this
that
out.
element.
Yeah, so was touring in the Netherlands. I was in this city called Utrecht. They have a big university there. They also have this museum there called, it's some Dutch word, but it means, it's like the museum for mechanical musical instruments or something. Like back in early days, they'd have like you crank this thing and it would like blow all this air through these different horns and all this. Well, they had like all these things going back hundreds of years, and it was crazy. They'd have like a bunch of fiddles in a box with like these little mechanical hands. Like people built this shit like 200 years ago. But I bought the admission to go see this thing. Oh, sorry. I bought admission to go see this. Sorry about that. I bought admission to go see this go see this museum, and when you walk in the door, they have this gigantic, it's an arm, dude. It's like this robotic arm, okay? And they got a keyboard, and it's just one arm, and you're standing there with like 30 people, and this Dutch guy gets up there, and he's like, I don't really know what he's saying, but he's saying something about this arm is going to mimic. So he's going to riff. He's up there with a keyboard, computer, mechanical arm is up there with his own keyboard. So he would play a riff, right? And then, or he'd play like a little piece of music, and then the arm would play something that was like it went with it, but it wasn't like a complete copy of it. And so he would do something, and the arm would do, it was like moving 100 miles an hour, and I think most people really thought it was cool, but I hated it. I was like, man, I mean, it's cool that I guess somebody made that, but that wasn't real, dude. You know what I mean? It wasn't real. And I'd rather hear my child bang on a piano before hear that dang computer arm, you know? Anyway, you should go to that museum if you ever find yourself in Utrecht, because it's badass, though.
Will do.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would react to that, especially now.
Yeah.
What would you consider to be your worst ever performance? And
Oh, man.
why was it the worst? And have you done anything since then to safeguard against repeating that experience?
Yeah, dude, there's been a lot of worsts, but let me try to remember the worst.
My answer changes every time somebody asks me this, if that helps you.
I will tell you about two, because one of them I think was most assuredly my fault, and one of them was it was my fault as well, but in a different way. So prior to playing, out playing shows and stuff, I really didn't know what my limit was on alcoholic intake in order to remain. If I drink too much, then I think that everybody's really loving what's going on, and really nobody's enjoying it, and they're kind of laughing at me and not with me. And so I was with my wife one time at a show where I had too much, and not able to hardly get through songs and stuff. Most definitely my fault. And now that was several years back, and now I know where I have to draw the line in order to be able to play and still perform at the level that people expect of me. And then another time was I was at this show, and I walked in, and I was in. I won't mention where it was at, because somebody might watch this one day and tell them. But I was not anywhere close to home. I was a long way away from home, and I went in this venue, and they were like, I was booked to play this multi-bill show. Well, I get in there, and there's like a 9-piece funk band on the stage, people like 100 people in this venue just dancing, and they're playing funk music, it's party time. And I was like solo with an acoustic guitar, and I was like, I knew this is, and I went up to the guy, I was like, hey, you know what's going on, right? You know what I do, right? He's like, oh, yeah, man, we love your songs, man. Can't wait for you to play tonight. And I got up there and I started into the first song and I couldn't even hear myself. It was just so loud because people were like, hey, where'd the funk band go? Yeah.
Right.
And so I couldn't even hear myself. And I forgot the words in the first song. And so I just unplugged and I walked away. I was like, see ya. And that was my fault as well because I shouldn't have booked that show. But I've learned, that I know that what I do requires a certain setting. And if there's no chance of that setting, then it's pointless for me to attempt to do what I do, because especially without a band. If you got a band, a lot of times you can just crank it up and just go for it. But when you're solo, dude, it requires a crowd that is expecting to hear songs. And if you don't, it's going to be a bad time every time. So now I don't book those places, and I know when I got to get cut off on the booze.
Both valid and both difficult lessons to learn.
Yeah.
You don't want to
Absolutely.
follow the 9-piece funk band, even if you're the 7-piece funk band.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so that was partly my fault, but partly, I mean, I think the guy had good intentions, but he just, he didn't know what he was doing. Yeah.
What happened in 2015 that made you start performing?
I was over I joined the United States military when I moved back to Mobile when I was 28 years old. And I got over the desert and I realized that all I'd ever done with my whole life was bring negativity through the kind of preaching that I did when I was a preacher, and violence, because that's what the military does, is bring violence in the world. And it landed on me like an elephant, And man, I mean, honestly, I just told God if He'd let me come home, I'd start trying to play my songs. And I got home, and there was a period of it was fear kept me from doing it. Then there was fear. So after I had come home from the desert, then there was this fear of, because all my songs are intensely personal to me, and so it puts you in a real place of vulnerability to stand up and perform your songs in front of people, and you don't know how they're going to take them, because when they don't like your song or they reject your song, I don't anymore, but at that time, that was I took it personally, and
It's hard not to.
yeah, when you put it's like a lot of those songs that's my life, dude. That's what I lived. And that's my pain that I'm talking about, and so whenever when I came back, there was a lot of fear, and then I saw this songwriting contest thing, and it was down in Orange Beach, and I was like, oh, what the hell, and I tried it, and I submitted my stuff for it, and they had me, and then I ended up going down there, and the night that I played, I ended up winning the damn thing, and it was unreal, 200 people, standing ovation when I got done, and I was like it's like something off a Disney movie or something.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Yeah, and then right after the show, a guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, my name's Sean Byrne. I live in Nashville. Where do you play?" I was like, "Dude, I don't play nowhere. This is I play in my room, And he was like, "Come up to Nashville. Let's make a record." And so in December of 2015, I was in Nashville making my first record of songs that I had been that I had written, And then, things just kind of escalated. I'm no star, but they've been just escalating ever since, really. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite line that you've ever written?
Oh, dude. All my lines are my babies, man. I got 3 babies, and if you ask me which of my babies was my favorite, I'd tell you none and all. I don't know. I think it'd be different at different times, I can't answer that. I don't know, buddy. Just they're all. If they're in a song and I recorded it, I liked it enough to believe in it. If I didn't like it, I cut it out already. I wouldn't play. I don't play you. I would never play you the ones that I ain't proud of. Yeah.
What's your favorite relationship that you've formed from being a musician? And do you have a least favorite?
Least favorite. You ever hear that Jeffrey Lewis song? You know Jeffrey Lewis. He's a comic book artist and a songwriter up in New York City. He has a song called "Don't Let the Record Label Take You Out to Lunch." You're the one that's got to pay at the end of the day. Try not to like people. Try not to get people to like you too much. You'll just need more and more flatteries to recharge your batteries. Don't let showmanship get more important than honesty. You don't have to be crazy to do something amazing. You could be just like you should. You can be just like you should and still do something really good. Anyway, just don't let the record label take you out to lunch. That's my worst. My worst relationship I ever made was record label. My best relationship I've made in music is probably that my friend Sean that I told you about. We met at my very first show, and he's produced everything that I've ever made since. So he's done 3 records for me, and he's a genius.
Wade, thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. I'm glad y'all had me. Well, love ain't a feeling. No, love is an act. It's less an emotion and more of a pact. It's when you decide to give yourself freely. Yes, it's simple, really.